All right, today we're going to do a disassembly on a 1.5-inch pump. These are mainly used on single dispensers. So you're talking smaller 20-pound propane tanks and or larger what am I thinking? Like forklifts. So up to 100 pounds. These would be used to fill those. So the process on this we're going to highlight is how quickly the assembly and disassembly are. And the reason why that may be a feature is, unlike competitive pumps, our pumps are capable of being rebuilt and refurbished, whereas a competitive pump, a technology like a Smith gear pump as an example, you run it to failure and you don't really repair or renew it. So our pumps are designed to be fully disassembled and reassembled in the field. You're going to see we're going to use standard tools. There's nothing fancy or special about the process. And yeah, as you go through, two things help you see that it's easy to do, but also the parts that we're replacing and maintaining are low-cost elements. So that's another thing. Other competing technologies, you may end up having a higher cost element be the wear part. Ours are the low-cost elements. So all I've done so far is take the bearing covers off both sides. You'll see this pump has lock nuts. Now on a pump in the field, these lock nuts have tangs here that you're going to have to find whatever tang's engaged and use a screwdriver or something to loosen that. And this pump's fully loosened. But we have tools here. You can use a spanner wrench on it. So now that I got my lock nuts off, my lock washers can come off. And at this point, my bearing cover or my heads can come off. And it doesn't matter which head you take off first. We're going to start with the outboard side. You can always tell outboard from inboard based on where the input shaft is going. The side of the pump opposite of the input shaft is the outboard, and then the side that's on the same side as the input shaft is called the inboard. These pumps are fully reversible, so if you wanted to drive it from the opposite end, all you have to do is disassemble the pump and rebuild it in the other orientation. It has the same flow performance. There's no violation of the warranty. We encourage people to take our pumps apart, put them back together again. They're especially for general maintenance. Now when we come to the maintenance side of things, most of it's going to be online where you're not taking the pump apart. Most of the time we want you to go around every month and check the lubrication of the pump. That's how much grease is in the bearings, is the grease. What's the quantity and quality of the grease that's in this grease chamber here. And you can check that by just removing these grease fittings. So you see there's a grease relief and a grease fitting. You know, once a month, heck, the pump can be operating. You just take the grease fitting off and make sure that there's adequate grease in there and that the grease that you see isn't full of debris and contaminants. So I'm talking here while I get this last bolt on. Sometimes the whole talking and doing at the same time doesn't bode well here. All right, and this can all be sped up too if like you want to use an impact or a ratchet set. So you'll see already the spring on my seal forces my head off. This is a new pump, so that's going to happen. You may have it where you need to help guide it off, but the next step is the head comes off the shaft. What I want you to see is the bearing goes with it. And why is that really neat? Well, because I didn't need a bearing puller. It's a slip fit. This bearing is a slip fit onto the shaft, which means there's a clearance between the bearing and the shaft. We do that on purpose. The primary reason is to facilitate ease of maintenance. So now that bearing is off, I'm going to take a screwdriver here and guide my rotating seal face off here. Just using my jacket. Right now I'm fighting an O-ring as the seal slides off. All right, and we'll go through how to inspect these elements in a little bit. Take my disc off. So now you can see the main flow chamber exposed. So vane pump has vanes. This one happens to have 8. and you can see this is the inlet port. As that rotor spins around, the vanes come out of the slot. This is your flow chamber. We call this the drop at the bottom of your rotor. The liquid movement comes through the inlet, through this drop portion, and then you'll see the rotor squeezes up here to the liner and shoves the liquid out the discharge. So every revolution has a fixed displacement. So if you want more, let's just say it's a gallon, you want to get more gallons per minute, more flow rate, you just spin the pump faster. This particular pump is rated for full motor speed, meaning it can operate at 1750 RPM or synchronous speeds equal to that of a 50 hertz or 60 hertz motor. So at this point I'm just taking off the inboard head bolts, and these will come off a little easier because I've already relieved the spring tension within the inside from the seals. Right. And again, these are coming off somewhat easy because again, as a training pump, I doubt they were torqued fully. You may have it to where you need a ratchet or something to get them off. So going back to the bearings as slip fit. So we prioritize slip fit in lieu of press fit for, again, ease of maintenance. If they were press fit, I'd have I could maybe go seal for life bearings, and then I wouldn't need to grease the pump. That would be a good thing. But we choose to use greased bearings that aren't sealed for life because we prioritize maintenance. We want you to be able to, take these pumps apart without the use of a bearing puller, and being able to reassemble them without having to heat shrink new bearings or press new bearings onto a shaft. And so just that difference, press fit to slip fit, does require a video. It does require, I know I do talk to myself though, Jeff. It does require external lubrication, but it makes, because I'm not that strong, if that were a press fit bearing, I wouldn't be able to pull that out. And then this other side makes that easier to get off. So I'm just going to take the components away, trying to get this liner out of here. I might need to bump this liner with a mallet. It's a little bit rusty. Kind of work it off. It's coming. A little stubborn. So what I'm pulling out here is the liner. Most of our propane pumps have liners. Our smallest 1-inch pump does not, but the 1.5 through 4-inch pumps all have these liners. And get it jammed in there. I'll unjam it and see if that helps me pull it. The main benefit of the liner is that it's replaceable. You can, if something goes through the pump, you can replace the liner without having to replace the whole pump. I wouldn't call it a maintenance or a wear